Einen wunderschönen guten Abend, wonderful or good evening, bonsoir, buenas noches. I think that's all I can do for you. And we are here for the third round of the GT3 Crossplay Championship by Apex Online Racing. I think it's important. Yeah, and after... Oh, sorry, I just try to remember where we start the... Oh yeah, after we visit Australia and Europe, now we are in North America. And we are... I think it's... Nowhere it's more North American like in Texas. So we are in Austin, Texas, here at the Circuit of the Americas. I think finished 2012, built by or designed by Hermann Thielke. So one of the Hermann Thielke tracks. So you can decide by your own if this is good or bad news. So I think it's the second Hermann Thielke track in a row after Paul Ricard last week. Yeah, and it's finished 2012. 20 corners, and the bad thing for me is only the last one got a name. So we have turn 1 till turn 19, 19, sorry, this was the German, till turn 19. And then we have the Andretti, named by the former US motorsport driver Mario Andretti. By the way, it was named 3 years ago. So the Great Grand Prix, not Great Prix, the Grand Prix of the United States in the year 2022. So, and now let's have a... So here we saw, by the way, we saw the Andretti. And yeah, we have Jared Vermeulen in the lead, who is our current championship leader. And on the second place we have Toby Blades, and he is P3 after a fantastic race last week. Finished P2. And then we have Paul at the moment on third place. Yeah, but after 2 hard races, he is far away from his normal standing. He's only on P26 after did not finish in the first race, and P18. Oh no, is it? Yeah, it's P18 in race 2. So, and then we have Victor Hammerlund, and he is currently P4, not only here in the training session but also in the current standing. So he's right behind Toby. And then we have Lloyd Chapman, and only on P6 at the moment we have Martin Hürjans, and he's only P9 after I do not finish last week. So I think this could be a hard season for Martin. Then we have the German Mercedes driver, and he is 1 place in front of Martin Hürjans, so he's P8. In this case he's 1 place behind Hürjans. And here we have the second Swedish driver, Oskar Frisk. I think he's a little bit behind in the current standing. Let's see where we have the second Swedish driver. Oh, and where is Oskar? Oh no, he's on P6, so both of the Swedish driver in the top 6. But now we have... Yeah, just wait. Amisano Ronnie on P23. Another... Oh, and he's now the fastest French driver, so... But where... Oh, and Dorian only on P13. And he is, by the way, 1 place behind Chris Egert-Rünkjanen, the Estonian driver. And in the current standing, we have Dorian on P2 at the moment, so let's hope he finds his pace during the qualification. By the way, another fact about the Circuit of the Americas, it's one of the few routes that is driven counterclockwise. So normally the tracks are designed to drive clockwise. For example, if you take the Nürburgring, which we have yesterday, and here we have... By the way, it's the second track in this season of the Apex Online Racing Crossplay Championship where they go counterclockwise. Oh, and we have wet conditions, so I'm not sure if there is... I don't think that it's actually raining, so we have dry air but wet track, so let's see. Oh, and I'm not sure if there is the option of rain during the race. Would be the first rainy race in this season for the Apex community, let's say it like this. So, but no rain, so it's just the spray of the other drivers, which might be a problem, especially for the drivers who are right in the pack here. So, for example, for Chris Egert, and otherwise then Jared, he's using his Scheibenwischer. So it's always the same words, I can't remember, so just wait. Windshield wiper, okay. So, and let's take a look for the drivers. Wiper, danke Margarek. Einen wunderschönen guten Abend. Ja, wir können ja mal schnell durchgehen, wer heute alles mit dabei ist. So let's have a quick overview of the drivers. So we have Eric Stander, one of the many Hungarian drivers. Oh, but a little problem here because of the wet conditions. So then we have Oskar Frisk, one of the 2 Swedish Mustangs. And the next one right behind Oskar, so Viktor Hammerlund here on track. Then the first French driver, Amisano Ronnie. And here we have Toby, one of the many Dutch drivers here at the Apex Online Racing Crossplay championship. Then we have Laszlo Mihaly standing in the pits, the next Hungarian driver. Then we have Dave Urban. I think it was Dave, but I'm not sure. Yeah, and he's another Hungarian driver. Then we have Jared Jasman Vermeulen, our current championship leader. And here we have Lachko. I hope it's right. So, and I think this time I can find him. Yeah, it's Szabolcs Lachko. And of course he's another Hungarian driver. And here we have Norbert Overy doing the first time of the evening of the qualification. And he's another Hungarian driver, but he was beaten by Kendall Slater. Kendall, one of the British drivers. I hope so. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure. But I can't. Yeah, here he is. Currently P12 in the championship standing. And then we have Paul, another British driver, Paul Wiedler, or Fiedler. And he's a little bit faster than Toby. Then we have Ronnie, the French driver, Chris Egert-Rünkjanen, the Estonian driver, now behind Martin Hürjans, but Martin Hürjans 27 thousandths of a second slower than his than the other Dutch driver. So also Martin coming from the Netherlands. Yeah, behind his fellow countryman. Oh, and Dorian Castelli now on P2. Still behind Paul, but in front of Toby. And this is the fight for P2 in the standings. So we have Dorian with 215 points. Already 85 points behind Jared with 300 points. And then we have Toby with 205 points. Only 10 points behind Dorian. And 10 points in front of Victor. And then we have a big gap to Chris Egert-Rünkjanen, who is currently P5. Oh, and here we have Jared, our leader, not only yet in this qualification, but also when we are talking about the championship standing. So, and now we have 7 Ferraris, no, sorry, 7 Ferraris in the top 9 and only Ferrari and Mustang in the top 10. No, of course we have Dave, and Dave says stop to the Ferrari and Ford dominance, domination, I don't know. But also Fabian, and Fabian now in front of the McLaren. So the German driver on P7, right behind Hürjans and Rünkjanen. And Dorian now behind Toby, so Toby was able to get a little bit, or quite a bit faster than Dorian. And then we have Lachko on P9 with the BMW, followed by Lloyd Chapman. Then the second French driver, Amizano Ronnie. Oh, and he lost the position cause Misha Huizing is now the fastest silver driver. So, and let's see who is, by the way, the fastest silver driver. And this is Oscar, currently on P6, followed by Daniel Kemendi. So these are the current leader, not leader, but P1 and P2 in the silver standing. But Oscar and Daniel Kemendi at the moment far behind. Oscar only on P20. Oh, and Daniel Kemendi wasn't able to get a time till now. So, and let's see, we are... we were here with Amizano, so now let's take a look for the next drivers. P14 is Victor Hammerlund, the Platinum Swede, the Swedish driver. Oh, and currently P4 and only P14 in the qualification, so let's see what happens. And then we have Erik Stander, one of the Hungarian drivers. Then we have the next Dutch driver, Denny Soetenbier, the 5th silver grid driver, followed I think by Jared or by Paul. And here we have Norbert Overy, the 2nd McLaren driver here in the grid. And then we have the next Dutch driver, Jeffrey Big Jeff van Buren. And here we have the 2nd Swedish driver, Oskar Frisk, now on P19 in front of Mac Mats, the Polish BMW driver. And then we have one of the legacy cars. We have the Nissan GTR Nismo, driven by Zsolt Barabas, another Hungarian driver. And he's in front of the next Hungarian driver with, let's say, a legacy car, so the Aston Martin driven by Laszlo Mihaly. And yeah, Laszlo and some more drivers weren't able to set a time, but here we have Drieger, and he's now on P22. It's Jensen Drieger, and he's a Belgium driver. And then we have Stephen Archibald. I'm not sure, but I think, yeah, it's one of the 2 Scottish driver. And we have Roland Jordan, the next Hungarian BMW driver. We have the 2nd Scottish driver, Scott McCallum. And we have Danes, or Danes. And this is Chris Danes, and I think it's a Danish driver. Yeah, it's the Danish driver with the BMW in the 6th livery. Yeah, but we are missing a lot of drivers. So, for example, the American driver Robert Smith isn't here. So we are missing Turek Tamash, Atti Klaassen, the 2nd South African driver. By the way, the 1st South African driver, of course, is Jared. Oh, and we have Martin right behind Jared. And to be honest, this time I hope for a good race for Martin after 2 really annoying races. And Amisano Ronny, the French driver, with some problem here. But at the moment on P3, right in front of Paul. And then we have Chris Egert-Rynkianen, the Estonian Mustang, on P5. Oh, and Toby with the next attack. And he's now right behind Jared and Martin. And the good news for Toby and the bad news for Dorian. At the moment he's 6 places in front of Dorian. And I think this would be enough to overtake him if this is the final result. Yeah, it's more than enough. Oh my goodness, so also das kann hier tatsächlich heute ein richtig wichtiges Rennen werden. Wobei natürlich jedes Rennen wichtig ist. So, und Martin bleibt hinter Jared. Also Jared hier mit guter Chance, das ganze Quali zu gewinnen. Und das wäre dann... Oh, ich weiß... wobei, ich weiß gerade nicht, ob er das letzte nicht sogar gewonnen hat. Der Martin. Aber das wäre hier dann auch mit mehr als einer halben Sekunde Vorsprung schon wieder ein kleiner Fingerzeig. Jared bricht da auch ab. So, Jared... pretty sure that he will start from P1, and also Toby is done with his qualification. And let's see Chris Egert. He's the last one who finished his qualification. Here we have Paul right in front of Chris. Fabian on P7. Dorian also done with his laps. So Eric Stander on P15, P17 for Jeffrey Barabas, P19, then Frisk and Overy already done. So, and now let's see Chris Egert and Paul, and I'm not sure who is the last one. No, it's not. No. Maybe it's Kamandi. So Kamandi on P18 at the moment. So, and Paul... No, both of them aren't able to finish this lap. Or did they? Yeah, they did, sorry. But no changes. So we have Jared in the lead beside his teammate Martin Hürjans. Then we have Toby Blades and Chris Egert-Rynkianen, the former teammates. Then we have Amisano Ronny and Paul Wiedler. Oh, French guy besides the British guy. Let's hope that's, that this goes well. Then we have the German. Oh, goodness. The German right behind the French and the English guy. And Latko, then Dorian Castelli and Kendall Slater. Misha Hützing and Denny Schutenbier on PA 11 and 12. Followed by Hammerlund and Dave Urban. Then Stander and Chapman. Jeffrey Van Buren besides Daniel Kemendi. Then Jolt Barabas and Oscar Frisk. Norbert Overy and the Polish driver Mac Matz. Then the driver from Belgium, Drieger, beside another Hungarian driver, Laszlo Mihaly. And then we have Archibald and Jordan and McCallum and Danes. So the two Scottish drivers right behind each other on P25 and P27. So we do a little commercial break before the race starts. And then we are here to present you 1 hour and 15 minutes of finest race action. So, see you in 1.5 minutes. Or hear you.
Seconds.
I mean, it's definitely very important in such rainy condition that you can break a cup or not.
20 seconds.
So, and here we are back again.
10 seconds.
Right before the start of the introduction lap, and after I forgot this 2 races in a row, now we are watching the introduction lap right from the last driver of the race, and this is Victor Hammerlund because of his, I think, fantastic yeah, race starting from P12, finished P4. But today, okay, P13, so maybe again in the top 5. So let's see. And let's have a look at the track here. It's a really tricky track. And I'm really interested in seeing how hard the drag limits are. It's none of the tracks we are really often, so I even can't remember the last time I visit the circuit of the Americas. By the way, this part of the track remembers me a little bit in Germany we would say an Valencia. So this long left turn and then the hard left turn and the chicane in front of it. So and here we have the longest straight here in sector 2, and then the really tricky third part of third sector, starting with a hard left turn more than 90 degrees, and like we see here from Danny, I think, really difficult to hit if you are too far on the inside, you might get some problems. And then it goes left, right, left, right. And I think Kota is the only track I didn't have, or on which I didn't have all the 3 track rating stars, let's say like this. So, but now we are saying bye to Victor and going, let's say, to Fabian. I hope that we see most of the top 10 if we are here watching the German driver. So, und jetzt heißt es Daumen drücken, dass es hier gut geht. So, cross your fingers for a good start. It's a really
Green light, go.
tough first corner. Oh, Martin going wide, but still P2 right in front of Toby. But I think everything goes well so far. I think no big problems. And so we might see good and interesting fights during the race. Everyone really close to each other, and this is dangerous. For example, between the 2 BMWs here, Slater... No, it's not. Oh, it's behind. It's Stander against... I don't know, maybe... Who is it? It's Stander against... I think Latchko. So, the fight between the 2 Hungarian drivers. And now we have the first fights during the long straight. Oh, and Dorian was able to win 1 and I think now the 2nd position. So Chris Egert with some problems. Now attacked by Hützing, but Hützing wasn't able to get in front of the Mustang. And here we have Castelli against Radek, fighting for P6. And here we have the top 4 really close to each other, and Radek with a little mistake, and now I think he will lose P6 against the French driver, or isn't he? Yes, he is. Oh, and... No! What is this? Martin again with a big problem. And now we have Toby on P2. And Jurjans with a big problem together with Amizano Ronnie. So let's take a look for P... No, not P6, but number 6 and number 13. Oh no! And what was this? That was Ronnie with a big mistake here. And really unlucky for... He totally missed the braking point and... Whoa! What a luck for Toby, and how unlucky for Martin. What a crazy situation. And now he's on P13, but sorry, it's on purpose, so no other driver you can blame, or who you can blame for this. This was his own fault. But really unlucky again for Martin. Okay, he's on P4 at the moment, but I'm not sure about how hard his damage is. Now he's in front of Dorian. And Dorian tries to get in front of the Mustang. And Radek defending himself against Rünkjanen. And then we have Huizing, Urban, Stander all together. Then we have Slater, Lachko, Ronny on P13 in front of Sutenbier. And then we have Daniel Kemendi in front of Lloyd Chapman and Oscar Frisk on P17. Oh, and Victor Hammerlund lost 6 positions, so also Victor with a big problem. Right in front of Norbert Overy and McMatz. And Danes fighting against the GTR in front of the Belgian driver. And here we have the 2 Scottish driver, Archibald in front of Scott McCallum. But let's jump back to the top 10. So we have Toby, meanwhile, I would say 3 seconds behind Jared. Less than a second in front of Paul. But maybe he's able to get away. Then we have Martin and Dorian. And Dorian was able to climb up 4 positions. Starting from P9, now P5. Ja, und der Fabian hat tatsächlich eine weitere Position verloren. Der fällt zurück hinter Chris Egert Rünkjanen. Und hat jetzt dann den Dave im Nacken. Also aktuell der Fabian und der Dave, aber auch die einzigen, nein, stimmt gar nicht, Stander, der jetzt hier sogar P9 attackiert, ist hier der dritte im Bunde, der hier die Ferrari Mustang Vorherrschaft knacken möchte. So, at least we have the BMW, the McLaren and the Mercedes to stop the Mustang and Ferrari dominance. Of course, behind Stander we have Slater, Ronny, Sutenbier, 3 more Ferraris. Then we have Kemendi on P14 in front of Frisk. Oh, and Ronny now in front of Danny Schutenbier. Right behind Kendall Slater. And Dorian still behind Huyjans. Huyjans still behind Paul, and Paul now more than 1 second behind Toby, but Toby now 3.7 seconds behind Jared. But this isn't his target, so I think he's quite happy if he get the second place in a row after his first P2 in the Apex Online Racing Championship. Maybe he can repeat this result a second time in a row. No, he couldn't repeat this a second time, so he only repeat this. Bullshit, what I'm saying. Because if he repeated it a second time, then he would... You know what I'm... Blah. Yeah, and Paul, I think there is a bigger problem or a bigger damage for Martin, because he isn't really able to attack the Ferrari. Also, let's see what happens on the straight. No, sorry. Yeah, and he isn't able to get closer. So I think there will be not only visible damage, but also damage for the aerodynamics after the big hit from Amisano Roni. But Dorian isn't able to attack Martin. Also, Martin isn't able to attack Paul. Oh no! Oh no, and don't say that. So, and maybe you saw what I saw, or you can see what I see. So Paul now on P2, Martin P3 and Dorian P4. So we lost Toby with the disconnect. And this on second place, really annoying. So what a bullshit. Oh, and Chris Egert with a problem. So now not only behind Radek, but also behind Rünkjanen. Behind Urban, sorry, I was talking about Rünkjanen. P7 for Chris Egert. Ja, und das ist natürlich echt ärgerlich. Oh, and Urban goes wide. Not wild, but wide. It's always really stupid to have a disconnect, but from P2 it's even harder. Yeah, and it's not only that he was on P2 in this current race. If they would finish in this order, they were when Toby disconnected, he would climb up to P2 in the standings, because he was 3 places in front of Dorian, and I think this would be enough to get his 2nd place. Yeah, but like we say in Germany, hätte Fahrradkette. So yeah, the good thing is we have a what is Streich result? So we have 1 race the guys can miss without losing points. But if I remember right, Toby would miss or will miss another race, and so he will have at least 1 0-point finish, and this is really sad for him. So, and here we have the fight between the 3rd, 4th and 5th silver driver behind Huizing. We have Kendall Slater on P11, and then Danny Sutenbier right in front of Daniel Kemendi and Oscar Frisk. It's not Daniel, it's Danny Sutenbier, sorry. Or Schutenbier. So, and by the way, with Oscar and Daniel, we have the 2 leaders of the silver rating. And by the way, they have exactly the same points. Both have 123 points. So, yeah, I can remember they finished P7 and 8 and P8 and 7 the last 2 weeks. And now they are on P12 and 13. No, P13 and 14, but no, I think now they are both beef in front of Sutenbier. And behind these 3 we have Victor Hammerlund, who is fighting against his Swedish countryman. Oh, and now we have Frisk between Kemendi and Sutenbier. Yeah, and we have Kemendi on P12 and Frisk on P13. Now P3 and 4 in the silver standing. Let's see, it's Sutenbier on P10, who is the 3rd one, and Kendall Slater on P12, who is P4 in the current silver standings. And Huizing only on P... Oh, where's Huizing? Ah, on P24. Yeah, but this is quite an interesting fight here between these 2, and there was a little mistake by Kemendi. And so Oscar is able to get in front of the McLaren. And behind these 2 we have Hammerlund and Sutenbier fighting for P14, yeah. Oh, and this is racing. Oh no, and this was racing. And here we have the contact between Kamandi and Frisk with the harder ending of this contact, crashed into the wall and lost a lot of positions. And now he's coming in for his pit stop. So, but Kamandi is still fighting against the Swedish Mustang. In this case, it's Victor Hammerlund. Oh, and another contact and another crash for the Swedish Mustangs. It's a little bit like the McLaren is the kryptonite of the Mustangs. Oh, and Paul now in front of... No, not Paul in front of, Paul behind Martin. So Martin was able to overtake Paul. And Paul now right in front of Dorian. So at the moment we have Jared and Martin on P1 and 2. And this is not the first time during one of the races this season, but this would be the first time for this season that they are able to finish P1 and P2. Yeah, but again, really sad for Paul, not for Paul, for Toby, that he got disconnected while he was in the second place. And Radek again behind Chris Egert Rünkjanen. So, and in front of Stander, the fastest, I think the fastest Hungarian driver, or is it? No, Dave is the fastest Hungarian driver, because he's on P5 at the moment. And he's also the first car which is not a Ferrari or not a Mustang. Oh, and we have the first drive-through penalty. And this is Drieger, the Belgian driver. Oh, Belgisch, I don't know. The Belgian. Und Stander jetzt hier wirklich dran am Mercedes gewesen und Amisano Ronny schon wieder in der Top 10 auf P9. So Thunder now right in front of Amisano Ronnie, and he's back in the top 10. Oh, and this was not the best way to do this from Thunder. So one time it's okay to wave, but not during the whole straight. Though this is dangerous and forbidden. And I think also here at the Apex Online Racing Crossplay Championship it's not allowed to wave during the whole straight, what he clearly does. But oh, and now a little contact between these two, but yeah, this is absolutely clearly cause he was afraid that the BMW does it another time here during this straight. Oh, and the BMW is a little bit faster. And so Thunder back on P8, right in front of the French driver. Oh, and yeah, this is what I'm trying to say. I don't think that this end well for both of them. And by the way, this was the maybe the best way to end this situation without a big crash, cause most of the time when things like this happens during two drivers, it's not far away from escalating. Also tatsächlich war das hier noch die beste Variante, wie das enden konnte zwischen den beiden. Jetzt hat hier Thunder sich den nächsten Ferrari rausgesucht. Diesmal ist es Kendall Slater, der jetzt übrigens dran ist an Hützing. So here we have the fight between the two fastest silver drivers. And Slater now right behind Hützing. And Paul and Dorian are able to stay right behind Martin Hürjans. But I think it would be hard to overtake him on one of the straights, cause it's a Mustang and he's really fast, so if there is a problem with the Mustang, it's definitely not the high speed. So, and now we are going to the next silver pack, and this is Sutenbier and Mats right behind Big Jeffrey van Buren, but he's a platinum driver. So, and now Thunder between Hützing and Slater, which costs Slater a lot of time, because it's more than 1.5 seconds between Thunder and Hützing. And here we have Ronnie right behind Radek. Yeah, and Twitzing right behind the two Platinum drivers here fighting for P6. But if he is slowed down by these two, it's not the good news for him, cause Stunder and Slater coming from behind. And Paul right behind Jans and right in front of Castelli. Archibald on P19 fighting against Jordan. McCallum right behind the other Scottish driver. Oh, and no, and Dorian with the drive-through penalty. Oh, and not on. Okay. And now he's gone. I don't know. Maybe some technical issues and lost the car because of this, and then he left the server. I don't know. So we have Urban and Rünkjanen on P4 and 5, and Amisano Ronny in front of Fabian Radek. So was able to overtake the German Mercedes driver, and here we have Witzing now right in front of Stander and right behind the German driver. So, also das hier irgendwie alles ganz schön durcheinander. Und ich würde euch ja jetzt gerne die Wiederholung zeigen und wir könnten uns angucken, was da bei Dorian passiert ist. Aber das Problem ist, das geht nicht, wenn der den Server verlassen hat. So I would like to show you what happens to Dorian, but this isn't able, or this isn't possible, if he left the server, so we weren't able to watch his car in the replay. Yeah, but still a lot of fights. Not only Paul against Martin, but also Urban against Rünkjanen. Then we have Radek against Witzing and against Stander. We have McMutz against Sutenbier. So quite a lot of fights here. Oh, and we have the pit stop from Paul. So he's the first one of the top 10 cars who did his mandatory pit stop, or does, or do, or something like this. So sorry, I have really problems with the times in the English language. So, and we have Dave also coming into the pits. Chris Egert stays outside. And also Amisano Ronny. isn't coming in for his pit stop. And maybe it would be a good idea for Hützing to do his pit stop. Because I think he's really a little bit at least slower behind the Mercedes. Hi Toby. Yeah, this was disappointing, let's say it like this. Was it your internet connection or what was the problem? I think you had a disconnect and did not rage quit. So your PlayStation decided you should spend extra time with your wife. Okay. This is good for your relationship, but bad for your championship standing. Let's say it like this. But I see you takes it with is it humor in English? So you're not angry or sad. So, and now we have Hützing in front of Radek, and now we have Stander fighting against the Mercedes. Okay, but this doesn't sound really normal, let's say it like this. Oh, and what a... Oh. Good work by Fabian to realize this. Yeah, sorry, it was nothing else but a... what is the name? Oh, sorry, I'm standing on the wire. Komme einfach gerade nicht auf das Wort, nicht mal im Deutschen. So, now we have the pit stop from Martin. And what is wrong in this season with Jans? Now he get the 30-second penalty And he's again right in front of Paul. And this will cost him at least P2. But I think even more than one place. So let's have a look. Maybe there is... Oh, and we have the second stop and go penalty. So maybe there is no more pit stop sign for the speed limit zone. And it's interesting, but it's always tricky for a lot of driver if this sign isn't there anymore. So most of the drivers don't have the line or something when they are braking, but they are braking with the sign. And I think it is like I said. So at least I can... Maybe it's also a question of the sun. No, because it's behind them or on their side. Ah, but I think there is no more sign. And what a fantastic sound here. So let's take a look. Yeah. There is a line on the street, so how can you miss this? So, and Jared was able to did his pit stop in the right way. And now he's right behind one of the, I think, Swedish Mustangs. And is it Oscar? No, it's not Oscar. Yeah, but I think it's no, okay, it's none of the Hungarian Mustangs, sorry. This isn't Chris Egert. And we have the next, no, we have Kendall again. But what Mustang is here behind? So it's not Martin, it's not Hammerlund. Ah, I think it's McCallum. Yeah, it's McCallum, and Julian's coming out of the pits, and let's see where he comes out. Oh, I think Overy is right in front of... Yeah. It's behind Overy. So we have Jared, Paul, Daniel, Dave Urban, Chris Egert, Rünkjanen, and Amisano, Ronny, and Norbert Overy in front of Fürjans. And these are only the guys who did their mandatory pit stop already. Now we have Jeffrey van Buren in the pits. So let's see if Martin is able to stay in front of Jeffrey. Now he's side by side with Overy and now in front of Norbert Overy. I think surely he will stay in front of Danes, but not in front of Jeffrey. So Jeffrey is done with his pit stop and will come out of the pits in front of Martin. And what's wrong with Martin in this season? So in Kendall, the last lap until he have to come in and did his stop and go penalty. Otherwise he will be disqualified. So now we have Hyljans against Ronnie, but 10 seconds, 10.5 seconds between these two drivers. And also Ronnie behind Jeffrey and a lot of other drivers. So maybe no top 10 result for Martin. Which is good news for Toby and for all the other drivers who are in front of Martin. But especially for Toby and for Dorian. But I think at least the good result for Paul aren't really good for Toby and for Dorian. No, it's not a problem. Okay, Victor only P16. Chris Egert P9. Currently P9, but I think he will be between P4 and something like this. Then we have Oscar Frisk, who is on P18 at the moment. Daniel Kamendi. Yeah, but they're already not really 100 points, but it's more than 80 points between Daniel and Toby and Dorian, and so I think they wouldn't lose so much places or positions. I think it's better. And Chapman fighting against Overy. Now Jared right behind Stander. And I hope, yeah, okay. Oh, and Stander in front of Radek, and not only Stander but also Jared. Now already on P2. Only behind Huitzing. So we have a silver driver in the lead. And we have Amizano Ronnie with a drive-through penalty. And here we have Stander with his mandatory stop. Also Misha in the pits. So we have Jared back in the lead. Fabian P2 at the moment. And then we have Paul P3 at the moment, but after Fabian's pit stop he will be back on the second, or at the second place. And then we have Mats, the Polish BMW driver, on P4 at the moment, followed by Urban. But Mats also need to get in for his mandatory pit stop. And now let's see Huitzing against Urban, and this is Urban now on P5 right in front of Rünkjanen. And let's see, I think, yeah, also Jeffrey now in front of Huitzing and Ronnie in front of Huitzing, but yeah, he needs to get in for his mandatory stop. And let's see Huitzing against Hyljans. So Hyljans in front of Huitzing, but behind Stander. And this could be an interesting fight. So Martin is coming closer and closer. And now the pit stop from McMats. Woo! This was crazy. So I don't know what happens here. Maybe Eric is braking really early or Martin is braking really, really late. Or maybe both together. But this was really close. So good that Martin is going on the right side. And really far on the right side to avoid a crash. So, and also Ronnie with his last lap before he needs to do his drive-through penalty. And now Martin again are back in the top 10. I think he will finish P9 or maybe P8. Let's see what Radek is able to do. 23 or let's say 24 minutes to go. And McMats behind Kemendi, behind Ovary, behind Chapman. And also behind Hammerlund. So right behind Hammerlund and between Hammerlund and Danes. So and now we have the fight. Okay, and this was really fast. So now let's see what happens at the end of the straight. Oh my goodness. Oh, guys, don't do this. Okay, and Martin now on P8. And I think he will finish P7 or maybe P6. And Chris Egert-Rüngjanen fighting against Dave Urban. So the fight between the Estonian Mustang and the Hungarian McLaren. And by the way, this is the fight for the third position. Also, Dave is on P4 and Chris Egert on P5 at the moment. But like we see, Fabian is or needs to or have to come in for his mandatory pit stop. And so this is not only the fight for the fourth place, but also for P3. Yeah, and Kemendi will stay on top of the silver rating drivers. He's currently P2 in his grid. And Archibald still in front of the other Scottish driver, McCallum, but 12 seconds ahead. And now he's fighting against Jordan, and maybe he's able to get away from the other Scottish driver. And here we have the fight between Mats, Danes and Frisk. And here we have Urban against Rüngjanen. Oh, and here on the outside, maybe the switchback. And now Chris Egert is he in front of Dave? No, he isn't. But what a fantastic fight between these two drivers. This is what we want to see. Also das war gerade eine Augenweide. So, und einen wunderschönen guten Abend an den Bernd. Ja, und wir haben gerade gesehen, Dave hat hier nicht nur P4 verloren, sondern verliert hier gleich noch 2, 3 Plätze mehr. I think Dave, no, not also behind Rietzing. So Dave now attacking Misha, and yeah, he's able to get in front of the Dutch driver. So, und ich wollte eigentlich gerade den Bernd begrüßen. Einen wunderschönen guten Abend, von wo auch immer du uns gerade grüßt. Das weiß man ja ehrlich gesagt beim Bernd nie so genau. Ob der gerade in Gibraltar, in Spanien oder wo auch immer sich die Sonne auf den Bauch scheinen lässt. Aus Stuttgart. Na, da ist wahrscheinlich gerade das von den potenziellen Orten, wo ich aufgezählt habe, eher das schlechteste Wetter. Was jetzt nicht an Stuttgart, sondern eher an den klimatischen Bedingungen allgemein in Deutschland liegt. So, und hier haben wir einen schönen Dreikampf. Da ist auch der Oscar mit beteiligt. Ja, wobei es ist sogar mehr oder weniger ein Vierkampf, denn auch der Norbert im McLaren wird da immer mal mit reingezogen. So, here we have the second group of silver drivers. And these four are really close to each other. And of course Oscar is trying to win some positions, and we have the next drive-through penalty, and it's for Kendall Slater, who is on P22 at the moment. So, and the big question is, when is Fabian planning to come into the pits? I think we will have no tire change by the German driver, which saves him a lot of time, but maybe he's able to stay in front of Martin, so it's a big gap between Martin and Chris Egert-Ründjanen. 21 seconds, so maybe it's enough time, but the other question is, will his tires survive this strategy? Let's see. I mean, he's not fighting against Jared and he's not fighting against Paul, but oh, it's 30 seconds, more than 30 seconds between Chris Egert and Paul, and it's 20 seconds, so it's 54 seconds between Fabian and Martin, so I think he will stay maybe P3 or P4, and yeah, it's the same drive-through we already knew. And Hützing stays right behind Urban after Urban's drive-through penalty, which costs him 5 places. Let's say 4, cause he was behind Chris Egert when he started his drive-through penalty. So, and now we have Lloyd Chapman right behind Hammerlund, but far away from McMats, Danes, Oscar Frisk and Norbert Overy. And why they are 5? I think they were... Oh, I think Victor overtakes Lloyd. And this is why we have 4.3 seconds between Lloyd and McMats. But Norbert behind these 3, behind Mats, Danes and Frisk. And so I think we missed a little mistake from Norbert, from the Hungarian McLaren driver. And now he's right in front of Amisano Ronny, the only French driver who is on the server now. And Kendall, I think it's the last lap, and after this lap he needs to get in the pits to do the drive-through penalty. So only 2 seconds left between Paul and Fabian. But like I said, he's not fighting against Paul, and of course he's not fighting against Jared. But maybe he's fighting against Chris Egert, and of course he's fighting against Martin. So I think at least P4 for the German driver. And this would be his best result of the season. He was P12 in the first race, and then he finished P6 last week. Yeah, and now I think he's able to finish even a little bit better. So he will finish in front of P6, I'm pretty sure. So, and let's take a look for Orvery against Ronny. No, Frisk against Ronny. So, yeah, it's... Oh no, and Orvery back in front of Ronny, but here we have the try on the inside. And now he's on the outside, but I think he's in front of Orvery, yeah. So, and now let's take a look for Slater. And he's coming in for his penalty. So, and only 8 minutes left, so let's see. Yeah, Fabian stays on the outside, or stays outside the pits. This is what I try to say, he's not on the outside. Bullshit. Yeah, but I think Paul is really relaxed about the Mercedes in front of him, because he knows that Fabian wouldn't fight, I think. If he's able to fight with the tires, because I think he... Yeah, maybe... I don't know if the other drivers changed the tires, but I think we have... Oh, just wait. Did we have a pit stop timer? Not a timer which says you have to come in between this and this time, but is there a standing time, let's say like this? I don't think so, but I'm not sure. Okay, there was no during the first or the last season, so I don't think that there will be a mandatory waiting time, let's say like this, this season. So, and Hützing already right behind Urban. Hammerlund 1.5 seconds behind Kemendi, and here we have... Yeah, and like I said, no defense by Fabian. So, and let's see the difference between Chris Egert and Fabian. So it's more than the first sector. Oh, it's really a big gap. So maybe it's really enough for Fabian to stay on P3. And this would be the sensation of the day, I would say. And then I would vote Fabian for the driver of the day. Because this was all about the tactic or the strategy. Let's say it like this. I don't know if there is a English word, tactic. Or maybe it is. I don't know. Okay, now we have Urban right behind Van Boren, right in front of Huizing. So here we have these three drivers, the two Ferraris and the McLaren. Whoa! And this was a little Code Brown moment for the McLaren driver. And it's 35 seconds between Chris Egert and Fabian. And wasn't it 33 seconds the last time we take a look? I'm not sure, but I think he was able to get away a little bit from number 380. And Oscar still behind Danes, Mats and so on. Oh, and Urban lost the position against the silver, against the silver Ferrari. So Huizing now on P8. And we are still waiting for the pit stop of Fabian, or from Fabian, and I think he will come in now. Also, we will have 2 more laps from our leader. But I think it's too dangerous to stay outside with only 2 minutes left in this race. Or did he stay outside? Let's see. No, he's coming in for his pit stop, and now we need to look for Chris Egert and of course Martin. So he's already in the last sector. Oh, and Radek done with his pit stop, and now is the question, how long did he need to get out the pits? So the last 2 corners. Chris Egert is now in the Andretti, the last corner of this track, and Fabian still in the pits. Oh, and this, I think this will work for Chris. Yeah. So Chris Egert now on P3. And Martin only P5, cause Fabian stays on P4, so no P3 for Fabian, but P4, and also this is a fantastic result. So after P12 and P6, now again 2 positions better, and P4 in this race. And here we
Right, man,
have the leader starting the final lap. And I think 30 seconds is enough space for Fabian to stay on P4, even with the old tires. So, but the third victory in a row for Jared, and this time it was quite easier than last week. So last week he has the fight against Toby for the win. This time he was never in the danger to not to finish P1. Now we have a fight in front of him, and this is between... I don't know. Ah, it is Ronnie against Frisk? No, it's not Ronnie against Frisk. So I don't know which fight this is. It's a Mustang versus a Ferrari. And it's not Hammerlund against Van Buren. It's not Hürjans. Is it? I don't know. So, and here we have the third victory for Jared, and he of course stays on top of the championship. Then we have Lloyd Chapman on P12, Danes P13, Amisano Ronnie P14, followed by McMutz and Oscar Frisk, Norbert Overy P17. No problem, Bernd. And Paul P2 after a really chaotic race. And the first podium of the season for Chris Egert-Rüngjanen. So, and let's talk about the good things. I think we have now, after 3 races, more drivers at the podium than during the whole last season. So we have Jared, Dorian, Toby, Victor, Martin, and now we have Paul and Chris Egert, and this is really good. Fabian on P4, Martin after the next hard race at least P5. I think he's, after how the race goes, really happy with P5. Then we have Eric Stander, and at the end he's the fastest Hungarian driver, and Misha the fastest silver grid driver on P7, right in front the next Hungarian driver Dave Urban. Then we have Jeffrey Big Jeff with a top 10 result, congratulations. And here we have Kemendi against Hammerlund, and these are the 2 guys who are fighting, and Kemendi is able to finish on P10 right in front of Hammerlund. And then we have Chapman, Danes, Ronnie, McMutz, Oscar Frisk, Norbert Overy, Scholt Barabas finished P18 with the GTR. Then we have Danny Sutenbier, Stephen Archibald, and let's see. And then we have Roland Jordan, Scott McCallum, Lachko, Kendall Slater, and Laszlo Mihaly. And we have Dorian with a DNF, also Drieke, Toby And he told us that his PlayStation says no. And then we have Robert Smith, the American driver, but he didn't even start the race, I think. Yeah, and what an interesting race here in the United States. And next week we are coming back to Europe and going to Great Britain. So home race for Paul, and who's the next British driver? And Lloyd. And I think we only have two maybe we can... No, this wouldn't be right to say Stephen and Scott are British, so no. Don't worry, Scottish guys, I don't say it. Yeah, we are going to Brands Hatch, which is another interesting track. But I know a lot of drivers hate this track. As a commentator, I like it really much. So let's see what happens next week in this really interesting season of the Apex Online Crossplay GT3 Championship. So I'm not sure if we will have a guest for a little interview today. And so I think we call it a day and say good night. So see you next week for the Brands Hatch race, or maybe on this Friday for the second race of the Schwitzer Motorsport GT Masters. It's an endurance race, a little bit like an endurance series. So we have two drivers in most of the teams. So it's a team championship, and they are in Hungary for the second round, and I think it is really interesting. So if you're interested, so you can visit us on Friday, or maybe next week when we are in Great Britain. So good night everyone, macht es gut. Also ihr habt es ja schon gehört, am Freitag sind wir wieder bei den Schwitzern. Von daher gerne auch wieder einschalten oder eben nächste Woche, wenn wir dann hier in Brands Hatch unterwegs sind. Bernd, wenn du noch da bist, danke fürs Einschalten. And Toby, more luck next time. So, good night.